What's up, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to tell you about how I basically double my salary. It's not what you're currently probably thinking about or expecting. It's not through YouTube, drop shipping, or any of those like popularized ways that people are making money nowadays. It's not through social media influencing. It's actually through that kind of like cliche that you hear about where it's like you don't have to be the person finding the gold. You could be the person selling the shovel and make a lot of money, right? So let's get right into it. This video may be a little bit longer than I'm going to expect it to be, so I'm going to break it down in sections. Section number one is going to be, of course, what am I talking about, how I got into it. Number two is going to be about things that you should focus on, specifically how I actually became valuable in this business industry. Number three is going to be how much money I make and the kind of salary range you can expect, because it's not a traditional way of making money. It is through kind of like, as you say, like freelancing or consulting. And number four is how I would do it differently if I started from the beginning, because this way it will allow you more freedom, but also longevity in your business, right? So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it and start with what am I talking about. So basically, I used the word consulting a little bit earlier. That's a way to kind of generalize exactly what I do, but in my industry, it's technically called systems integrations, right? So that is a fancy word for saying you can connect softwares together to make a business owner's life way easier, because you're going to be automating a lot of things, therefore saving them time and money. So the main thing is, through that sense, let's give you more practicalism so you can put it in perspective. Nowadays, let's say YouTubers are making money through selling courses or their own product, whether it's like an actual physical product or even selling a course, whatever, right? So the thing is, a lot of these people are typically younger or don't know how to operate a business entirely when it comes to back-end systems. So for them, it's overwhelming. That's where you come into play and kind of set it up for them. So let's start at point A. Instead of selling a digital course on how to start a YouTube channel, right? Now, that may sound easy, but typically, besides setting up the course, they may not know what to do as far as nurturing a customer or people who don't become a customer, how to kind of make them become a customer if they don't want to join initially. And when they do become a customer, how do you give them access to the product without doing it every single point of the day, where you have to be on your computer and manually give them access, stuff like that, right? So point A is like they create their own course about how to, of course, start on YouTube and how to create your own channel. Where you come in is you basically set up the back-end systems to automate emails, get them access to the course if they buy the product. And when they do buy the product, how to add them into, like I say, like a weekly coaching call that your YouTube, of course, like I say, boss, technically operates, and all these other things that technically you want to get them added into as a benefit to basically make sure they get the whole customer journey without having to do it every single time manually. I think there's a fly going around here right now, like a gnat.
Not one fly remains.
And thus we shall remain in this humble property. That was a fly sound.
So I apologize for that if I'm looking all kind of crazy. So that's kind of like the world that I'm in, essentially. That's a very general example. There's plenty more ways to do it. My client actually is in cryptocurrency, teaches about DeFi, has a coaching course, and I basically set up a CRM for him, which is called a customer relationship management tool. And I automate essentially the whole business through doing this, right? With a tool also called Zapier. Now, Zapier is going to be pretty much your bread and butter. There's an alternative company called Integromat that some people use as well, which is a little bit more customized, but it can be a little bit more difficult for people who are just starting into it. So that's essentially what I do in kind of a nutshell. I basically set up platforms to connect them together and monitor them, but also make sure that they work to automate the business completely. So when a customer joins a company, I make sure that every single point that they need to get into the course, learn about the actual product, where to start, all that is done in an automated fashion so the business owner can focus on, of course, the business. And you don't have to also monitor every single step for a customer. It's done for you through your own work of connecting those platforms. Let me know if that makes sense or not. If it doesn't, of course, just make a question in the comment section. I'll answer it. And how did I get into that? So I actually got into this business through buying a course myself from a person who's very knowledgeable. They do it on a way larger scale. They charge their clients anywhere from like $50,000 plus to get help from them, because they have gotten their workflow and process in helping business owners scale down to a T, right? I don't know how to do it on a smaller sense where I can find clients who are, let's say, small business owners, or even use it in my own 9 to 5, which I still do have one. That's something important to tell you. because my flexibility in my 9 to 5 and also even my side business with this client is so flexible that I can do both interchangeably. One after work, one on the weekend, stuff like that, which is typically going to be the client, right? Because my 9 to 5 can't really stretch their hours or make it flexible. Now, with that being said, I bought the course, and through that course, I started networking, and it actually placed me with a client, which is the way I lucked out, basically. You're not always guaranteed that. If you guys do want the name of a course and stuff like that, I'll be free to give it. I think it's actually invaluable, but it's pretty expensive, so keep that in mind as well. I'm going to give you guys my story, how to do it, so you don't have to spend that much money, because typically a lot of it came through the practice of also being with the client. The actual course prepared me and stuff like that, and I think the biggest benefit was, of course, getting placed with a client because of my skill set. But truthfully, if you can save the money and just kind of do it your own way, that can be better as well. I can also say that kind of spoiled me. The act of not learning how to get clients until later on as well did hurt me in the sense of making sure that I was secure in this side business for the long haul. So I got into a course, I got placed with a client, I learned about skill sets around getting platforms together and making sure that essentially the customer journey can be automated. And that skill set is in project management, which use tools like ClickUp, Monday.com, stuff like that to like essentially build a roadmap of goals, projects, stuff like that, which that can be learned easily. Number two, Zapier and connecting other softwares together that actually essentially automate the business. So let's say when it comes to when a customer buys your product, how do they know they got a receipt, right? Typically that can happen automatically to some platforms, but if it doesn't, you can build a backend system to send them a receipt and next steps to do for that specific product they purchased, whether it's like joining a Discord channel or a Facebook group, whatever it's going to be. So learn those skill sets, which we're going to talk about in depth in the next portion of this video. And of course, making sure you understand what this business is about and if you want to truly be into it, right? So keep in mind, there are things such as a specialty within my specific industry, which, it can make a lot more money, also make you more invaluable. But if you don't want to do it, you can also go the general way that I did and kind of just work on those back-end systems rather than such as a advertising skill set, which makes it a specialty. If you know how to advertise well and bring, of course, customers to a company, that along with, of course, system integrations as a skill set will make you truly invaluable, right? You'll be able to place them with customers, but also automate the customer journey for them too to make their whole life easier. It's really great, but not easy to do. That's why most people don't really do both. And on top of that, those who do both typically can charge those astronomical prices because it's basically kind of helping the business grow entirely. All they have to do is have a skill set and maintain, of course, their customers with their content or the course, and essentially the business is ran for them. Now, we're going to go on to the skill set portion of this video, which you should be focusing on. So we kind of give a general overview in the beginning of this video. Now for the skill set portion, we're going to be talking about exactly things that you should focus on, right? So with me, the actual tools that I use are, like I said, Zapier. Right now, my client is using Close.io. Before we use Go High Level. The real popular one is called HubSpot. There are agencies who operate just on HubSpot and make a lot of money. I think if you go to HubSpot.com, I'm talking really fast, you actually can look up like experts in the area, and most of them will be agencies, and look at their website and see how they operate, what their interface looks like as far as how they track customers and stuff like that. You'll kind of see an idea of what I do, but on a larger scale. So Zapier, CRMs, you can look up CRMs to look at the most popular ones. I would say focus on either Close.io or Go High Level. A lot of customers use that just starting out because Go High Level is a little bit more cost effective, while Close.io is a little bit more expensive. And then HubSpot's like a top tier one that costs a lot more money. So if you get into that, just beware, it's a lot of content that you may have to read upon just to learn how to set it up. You may even look into like going to one of those agencies and working for them just to kind of get a lay of the land and then working on your own clientele. But yeah, that's just an idea. So focusing on those two platforms, I would say just look up into it and also learn about the whole industry, which is kind of what the course does as well that I got into. But once you look into those actual platforms and tools, you'll see exactly how they work. I say, kind of put everything in perspective for you and let you know if you actually want to do this long term. what my day-to-day looks like is basically I come in, I look at Slack, which is our communication tool, and see what things need to be done. I also use ClickUp to organize our projects and goals for the month, so we can have a day-to-day expectation of what we need to do, what we need to fix, essentially for every single role. Now, with that being said, my job is still very lax. I am on a part-time basis, so that also keeps things in perspective for my client. I don't get everything done, let's say, even in a week time span sometimes, because it's a little bit more of a bigger project sometimes. But with that being said, that's something that you want to communicate with your client, of course, to talk about in those one-on-one meetings you may have with them. So, there goes that fly. I focus on learning skill sets that are going to make sure I can make a business automate or work in an automated sense. So, number one, you want to look into specifically, like I said, those two tools I talked about, but as well, look into YouTube channels of people who are selling products or digital courses and see how they essentially have their workflow set up right now. So if you look up, let's say, I don't know, how to make money online or how to start a YouTube channel, you may find people who are talking about the topic, but actually in their comment section they have, or this actual description, they have like a course that they want you to purchase. Click on it and see how that website is set up. If they have, like, of course, just a link to buy the product where it's just going to tell you the amount and, of course, put your credit card information in. Or if they have like a sales page, for example, or if they have another site where they actually make you book a call to talk to them about the actual topic, and then they might sell you on the actual information or course in that call itself. These are the ways that are kind of set up online, and when you learn about it, you can kind of see like the gaps they may have in their business and how you can help them after you develop your own skill set and understand what they may need. So that's typically what I would say to focus on, because if you don't know about this industry, you never heard of it beforehand, it may be kind of hard to take in what I'm saying and actually put in perspective, because you don't know exactly how it works. Now, I'll probably create more videos on this as well, as like, you know, what I do on a day-to-day basis, how I look for clients, and actually show you like the actual work that I'm doing, guys, is the most important, because if you don't want to do the work that I'm doing, this may not be for you, and you don't waste your time looking it up if, of course, it's not going to be something that you want to do long term. So that's what you should focus on, is basically learning about Zapier and also CRMs. Once you learn about that, you can also see if you want to get into it and kind of practice on your own. If you have the money to spare, I would say set up your own kind of like, you know, website and learn how to use the tools that are actually being used for the CRMs and also Zapier, and kind of do it yourself, just kind of learn the lay of the land. Like I said, I learned a lot about what I was doing by just the action of doing it rather than the course itself. That's why I say it can kind of be skipped if you don't want to really go into it. But also, number three, the money, right? If you don't really think this is going to be for you or something that you want to do as far as the actual monetary value you can get from it, I can understand if you want to skip over it as well. So I actually make around $4,000 per month part-time from my client. And the actual salary ranges can be anywhere from, like, typically for somebody who's just starting out and doesn't have much experience, like $4,000 to $8,000. High tier can be anywhere from, like, let's say $8,000 to like $15,000 or even $20,000. Now, when you go above, like, let's say 10 to 15, you're typically probably almost an agency at that point, or you have like a profit share agreement with the company, which allows you to, of course, depending on actual metrics hit, you can get a percentage of the profit for that month added to your check. So let's say your base is $4,000, and let's say you make anywhere from like 2 to 3%, which is pretty good and basic for most people starting out for profit share. And let's say they make, I don't know, $100,000, you can get essentially like $2,000. Is that correct? Check my math. Yep, so I was right. It is $2,000 that you will make essentially added to your check. And now you make $6,000 every month for part-time work, which is pretty good because most people don't even make more than $3,000 on average per month from their day job, right? And you're getting out on part-time. So doesn't mean you quit your day job, because like I said, you want to make sure that you have, of course, a safety net and a little bit more than one client to rely on, because if you lose that one client, you don't want to basically have no more income, right? So the idea of it is to understand that once you kind of get that recurring income from, like, let's say 2 or 3 clients, you can then look into seeing if you want to actually build an agency around it. And by agency, I mean you can hire other people or teach other people those skill sets that you have, and essentially kind of break them off, whether it's $1,000 to $2,000, depending on their work. If you're hiring within the U.S., you can find people within other countries who are, of course, knowledgeable about things like this and teach them a more advanced version of it. And now you can have like a full staff for about $1,000 a month where they handle the back-end systems, they handle the workflows, the monitoring of it. You just kind of make sure that they're knowledgeable and keep informing them, but also look over their own work as well and have team meetings and stuff like that. So that's a huge business component as well, which is becoming an agency where you're now going to charge, let's say, $10,000 to $15,000 comfortably, or even more than that, to clients, and now you're making, of course, around $40,000 per month or $30,000 per month, and you're breaking off, let's say, anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,000 for your expenses, which can be, of course, having a team, and the rest of it is profit. And like, just make sure you hire like other people to overview them if you want to kind of remove yourself from the business completely. Now, with that being said, there are examples out there. I believe I had some bookmark. If I remember them, I'll probably show them in the video right now, who operate as an agency for just like a CRM specifically, and they help you build it out. They, of course, monitor it, help you like, even nurture like leads or even get you leads into your business to actually get customers, stuff like that, which is like a full-fledged agency. Now, the main thing about this is understanding what I would do differently if I start from the beginning, right? So what I did is I kind of just got connected with a client and just started helping them with everything that they needed. I didn't really have a specialty, so anything that they didn't know how to do when it came to systems or platforms, I had to learn and basically help them out with it, which is good for my own education, but also becomes a bit draining. But at the same time, it doesn't allow you to specifically excel in anything because you're learning everything. You know what I mean? So that made me a little bit more generalized, and I'll be honest, you still are valuable, but if you learn a specialty, you can, number one, narrow your actual selling point to 2 things that you're really good in, and you can, of course, make sure you have guaranteed results for. But at the same time, it allows you to have more freedom because you're not being the person who does every single thing, right? At that point, you're just a glorified freelancer, and you want to become an actual consultant or a actual specialized systems integrator, whether it's CRM, whether it's with advertising, and you build out stuff for them, and as far as like a data dashboard, stuff like that will allow you to actually make sure that you're not being everywhere at every time possible to get things done for your client. That's number one. Number two, I would actually look into making sure that you find a client that is making a substantial amount of money, because at that point they'll be more comfortable if you can, of course, deliver results on the way I told you before, which is a specialty, to pay you a lot more money, right? So I didn't quit my day job because, truthfully, if I did, I would be stuck with the same amount of money I made in my day job, because I just doubled my salary only through getting an income source that's very equivalent to it. I can do it just part-time. So with that being said, you want to find a way that you can actually, let's say, double your income with your client if possible, and that way you can quit your day job as you make, of course, a safety net of at least 6 months of your income, and then focus on just that client and get another client just in case your other client ends up quitting on you or fires you for any kind of reason, which is a very practical possibility. I don't want to say it's not possible. Like I said, you can become invaluable, but you never know what can happen. Don't ever rely on one income source. So that's number 2, which is find a client that makes around anywhere from $100,000 plus per month before you even get to them. Because if you can make their life easier, you're still going to be able to bring, of course, that invaluable sense. But at the same time, you can actually charge prices that are equivalent to what you think you're worth and technically deserve, without making sure that you're hurting the customer or your client as far as their bottom line. So if you're charging, let's say, for example, $8,000 and they get paid $100,000 per month profit, they're not going to be worried about $8,000. That's a drop in the bucket for them, especially if you're making their life tremendously easier. So that's that. And also make sure this is what you want to do, right? Because I thought I would do this long term. I like money, of course. But I'm getting to the point now where I either want to quit my day job or I want to find another income source, because I can't do everything at once. Which you also want to focus on is getting this money and investing it, right? Because you don't want to be focused on a point where you're always working for your money. And that's why you can have that out as an agency, where you're building a kind of a structure that allows you to remove yourself from it, or you're investing the money that you get from doing this kind of skill set to another business model, whether it's a YouTube channel, or even investing, whether it's in the stock market or doing options trading, or any kind of channel that actually brings you money. Like even traditional sense, you can build like a car wash, which people don't think it's sexy, but it actually brings a lot of money. So don't think you have to always stick in that online-based model when you get this kind of money. Save up a little bit of money, see if you want to go into real estate, whatever you want to do, and then make that money multiply for you so you can also have a backup plan if you don't want to do it anymore. The main objective is to be happy in life with the money that you have. You don't want to feel like you're stuck in any kind of business model, whether it's systems integrations, a 9 to 5, consulting, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I want to leave you guys with. So hopefully you got some value from this video. I'm gonna list some resources below, just kind of examples that you can look into as far as what I do, because I know this may not really encompass everything in one video. You still may be completely confused, and I understand that. But just keep in mind, the main thing is learning the skill sets that can help people build their business or make it flow, essentially. Once you do that, you can use those skill sets in your 9 to 5, or you can use it for, of course, a client, and then learn about specifically either becoming specialized in one area of that like skill set, so you can make yourself even more invaluable and charge more money, and then have a backup plan, whether it's real estate, drop shipping, whatever you want to do. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, of course, let me know. I'll be here to help. And of course, have a great time and a great journey.